Hey everybody, this is Lance with LanceTaylorPhotography.com. I'm really excited to bring this tutorial to you today because it's so incredibly easy and it's something I think you can apply to a number of images fairly quickly. This is a skin softening tutorial, and believe it or not, it's only going to take one additional layer. I know that's hard to believe, but you'll see when we're done just how easy this really is. Let's say you have a client or model who has splotchy skin or maybe has pockmarked skin or some acne. After you do some initial cleaning up with the spot removal tool or healing brush, you can apply this technique to soften the rest of the skin or soften the edited area that you've worked on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the select menu and we're going to select color range. Everything in white is what's going to be selected if we hit OK. What I like to do is use this tool here to sample our initial point. So you can see that's changed everything in white to everything that is similarly colored to the skin that I've selected. And you can adjust this fuzziness range. This is really just kind of a threshold, but I like to keep it kind of low, because what I do next is select Add to Sample. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add those areas based on this thumbnail that the selection is missing. So we're going to come over here and select the knee, some shaded parts here, as well as down here. And now you can see it has selected a good portion of the image. Don't worry about that though, because all we're going to worry about is the skin areas. We want to make sure that that has a good amount of coverage. So when you're happy with that, select OK. And this is the selection that will occur when you apply it. So right now, I'm pretty happy with this. I don't care about some of these other areas here. So once I've got it where I want it, I'm going to select Command J to put this selection on a new layer. In Windows, I believe it's Control J. So if I come over here to the layers palette, as you can see, when I hide the background layer, that the only thing that was applied to this layer is what was selected with our color range. And again, don't worry that this tube here, this concrete tube, was also selected. So once that's been selected and put on a separate layer, we're going to blur this. So we're going to come up to Filter, Blur, and we're going to select Surface Blur. And the reason I do that is because surface blur is kind of a smart blur. It leaves a lot of the detailed areas alone, but blurs some of the less detailed areas. And you can adjust the threshold and the radius. I usually keep mine at about 18 and 37. So as you can see, the skin looks pretty much like doll skin. But again, we're not done, and we're not going to leave it as doll skin. Real human skin has flaws and little things, little moles, freckles, that sort of thing. So we want to bring that kind of stuff back. So we're going to select OK. And we're going to wait until that's done applying. And now I'm going to I'm going to add a layer mask, and I'm going to invert that mask using Command I or Control I. So now that has hidden this layer from the background layer. And with my brush settings over here, my brush and the settings up here set to 100%, I'm going to go ahead and paint in those areas of the skin where I want it to show. So I'm going to go ahead and color this in. And the reason I have it at 100% is because I want this to be fairly quick. And the good thing about this blur is I can go ahead and go over these detailed areas, the parts between the fingers. It's going to leave those finger separations alone, and it's going to leave the grains of sand alone. So just get the rest of this here, and then even get the areas of the face. Okay. Well, I missed one area here. Okay, so when you're satisfied that you've reached pretty much all the areas that you wanted to affect, you can now fade this back a little bit to bring that detail back I was talking about. I'm going to scale this back to, let's say, about 60%. 60% gives me enough blur that it softens the skin, but still allows like the grains of sand to show through, and these little freckles here, it allows those to show through. And you can see the difference here when I hide this layer. That was the original, and then this is the softened layer. And you can play with this opacity here until you're happy with that. So let's go ahead and bump that up to about 65%. I think that looks good. But you know what? I think the face is a little bit strong, so I'm going to bring this flow back on the paintbrush to 10%. And I'm just going to paint back in this area here on the face where I want the original area to show through. So I'm going to change my colors on the color swatch here so that black is now my default. And I'm just going to paint in this area here on the face that I want to bring back, as well as maybe this area of the cheek. And that's it. So that is the technique for softening the skin. And let's say you want to cheat a little bit. At this point, you can pretty much be done. If you want to say that you're happy with this and you want to leave it alone, then you can call it quits after this. But let's say you want to completely eliminate all of the human imperfections, so we're going to go ahead and bump that back up to 100% so you can see that we've eliminated a lot of the freckles and things that were on her legs before. So now what you can do, this is an optional thing, but create a new layer, come up to Edit, select Fill, 50% gray, make sure that that's selected, say OK, and we're going to change this blend mode to overlay. Now the reason I do that is because we want to add some imperfections here to the skin. And one way that I like to cheat is to create this 50% gray layer and then add some noise to it. So we're going to select Noise, Add Noise, and we're going to play around with the amount and select OK. And as you can see, it kind of adds pores or something that's similar to pores back to the skin, and you can play with the opacity of that. And this works really, really well if you have a really close-up headshot and you want the model to have flawless skin on her face, and you use this technique, but you bring some pores back using the noise on a gray layer. So that's just an option you can use. You don't have to do that. I don't always do that to all the images that on the skin where I soften it. So really that's it to the technique. Very easy. I'm going to scale that back down to about 65%. And there you go. That's it. I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope it eases your workflow a little bit when it comes to softening the skin of your clients. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.